Welcome back to Sapphire's Unscripted. This is episode 26. And listen, today we got two stories, two pieces of breaking news. And we were going to do reaction on results. But we decided, listen, we have to jump on this breaking news. I have to be one of the first pods to cover it. Obviously, we made some videos on TikTok. Boys, people, first and foremost, thank you for your love and support. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. I just want to fly through it. Because if you're thinking, Brett, you look sleep deprived, he's not. He's drunk. Okay. I'm just kidding. Brett doesn't drink. He's sleep deprived. Okay. That's why his eyes are so red. Listen, boys, starting off nice and strong. We got Rees-Zammit leaving the Welsh Rugby Union to join. Well, I wouldn't say the NFL because it's only like a trial run, but literally putting his whole future on hold for a gamble. Do we respect it? Do we think, listen, it's stupid? Because we all know it's a wannabe rugby. Boys, what's the thoughts?
Revan, take us away.
Sorry, I'm going to be on and off mute because yet again Joburg is hitting us with another thunderstorm. So this is going to become the regular in summer. So enjoy. But Rees-Zammit, oh goodness gracious me, I don't even know what to think of this because he had so much talent, he had so much to achieve. I mean, I know he played for Wales. But the guy had so much talent. I know some people don't rate him. But now, it's not even like he's guaranteed to make the NFL. It's just a trial, obviously like a development program type thing. And it could backfire. And, fair play for taking the risk. But two completely different sports. And I do not think a rugby player can transition to NFL in the sense that it's very different. It's very, very different.
Yeah, I think I personally think that it's going to backfire badly in his face, unless he had an inside scoop that he was actually recruited because of his pace to be like a running back or something. But it's going to be another Christian Wade debacle where he plays a trial game, does quite well, but they don't see value in him, and then he's going to be without a job. I think that in order to be a good running back or, let's say, NFL player for that matter, you actually have to know how to break a tackle in rugby first before you can try and break a tackle in American football that you don't see the tackle coming. So I don't see this working, and I think this is the worst decision a 22-year-old that has 35 tests for Wales can make.
I mean, we remember Christian Wade going over and literally his first touch of the football, he scored an amazing touchdown, and then after that just went playing hide and seek. But the thing is, I don't really think it's too much about he lost passion for the game of rugby or anything. I think it's purely a financial move, financial stability. Of course, we know the NFL pays a lot more than rugby could ever offer players. So I'm just putting myself in his shoes. Would you have taken that deal if someone offered you about 5 times your salary per year? If you got into the NFL, would you take that risk if you were in his shoes, Brett?
If that was the case and I'm guaranteed to play in the NFL, then it's a no-brainer. Then you take it. But he's taking a player's pathway to the NFL. So nothing's guaranteed. He's going to go try out now as a new rookie in the side. So if it was offered to me and he said, okay, you can earn 5 times your salary, you just might have a concussion and you won't see the age of 40 because we don't care about your head, then I don't know. It's tricky for me.
So personally, I am a big NFL fan. I do follow it quite regularly as well. So I do kind of know like how players need to get into the system, and it's not as simple as like there's a lot of people in America and even all around the world, but specifically America. These guys train American football from like when we were in grade 1. That's all they do, and then they go through developmental programs in high school, college, and then they have to get drafted. So it's a massive, long process for these guys to get picked, and to make the transition late at the age of 22 years old, because that's late if you want to become an American football player, because these guys literally train from young. It's tough. It really is tough.
I mean, it is probably easier to go from a rugby player to a football player instead of being a football player going into rugby, just because of all the rules and regulations. It's a totally different game the other way around. I don't see an NFL player ever having a stamp of authority coming into rugby. But the big point that I want to get to is, how do you think this negatively impacts the game of rugby when you think about, even if you don't rate Rees-Zammit, he's a big name in rugby. He is a golden boy for some teams, for some people. Do you think more people would try and take this route if they see Rees-Zammit's plan works out?
I think some people will obviously take like he is copying Wade. Well, he's probably not. It's just things have worked out differently for him. But I think if you're a passionate rugby player, like for me, example, I'm pro rugby. I'm anti-American football. I think that's a wussy game. I honestly don't like. There are some players in there that I like. I like the Kelsey brothers, Patrick Mahomes, those type of folks off the field, and yes, they are respected as sportsmen there, but I don't see an American football player as this elite athlete, especially the way they call themselves world champions when only they play against each other. For me, it's a brain dead sport, especially after when I watched the movie Concussion. They have zero. They don't care. It's about dollar bills. They don't care about their players.
Oh, that is interesting. So, what was your question again? Because that statement from Brett took me off guard. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I just asked what do you think the impact of Rees-Zammit's his move would be on rugby? Do you think guys would follow in his footsteps if it works out?
Look, at the end of the day, like with what Brett said, like you can't call yourself a world champion when it's, franchises playing in one country and that type of thing. But there's always been this comparison between rugby and American football. And I mean, if the hardcore fans of the three of us know, Mr. Burns, is one of his most videos is a guy saying something, ripping off rugby and saying American football is the one to go to. And Mr. Burns casually just roasts him and owns him. But yeah, it isn't a great look, because I just think there is a little competition between the two, and if it turns into a money thing, you never know what could happen to some players that go, maybe I have the skill set, let me make the same move. But it all depends on if he actually makes it or not. Like we all say, this could be a massive risk and he makes nothing.
Yeah, it's almost the same as what we see in normal football or like soccer, where there's a lot of players that goes to Saudi Arabia at the moment just for like that money move. And rugby can't compete with American football when it comes to financial means. Like, American football is a commercial sport. Rugby is a passionate sport. You just look at the reactions between a try being scored and a touchdown being scored. The one, you get a team that celebrates together passionately, goes to the fans or whatever, and the other one, they pull out Fortnite TikTok dances. It's not a passionate sport at all. There's no fighting for the jersey in the NFL, and I guess a lot of people would disagree with it. But I don't care. We as South Africans, we despise the NFL just because they slander the name of rugby. I can't believe you have a game where it's two teams playing against each other, but both teams have got two teams. How can you have a different team for defense and attack? Like, those guys don't even look like they break a sweat on the field.
They don't.
How's that a sport? You even have to be fit.
But
yeah, I've also seen some of them where the guys, like special teams, the guy just sits on the bench the whole game, maybe for 4 or 5 games in a row, but he gets this high-paying salary because he's one day potentially going to kick a field goal.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the kickers in the games getting paid millions, but just sitting there and kicking at goal. Unreported. Easy.
Yeah, I don't think it's a high value sport. Americans obviously love it. It's a big deal there for them, but I don't see American football as a threat to our game of rugby, because if anything was going to change a big money move as a rugby player, I think it will be to rugby league. But I think Rees-Zammit he's a cop out, and yes, people want lots of money, but come on, you play for Wales.
But
just go.
So I was chatting because obviously one of my best mates, he's from England, and he obviously knows a lot of the ins and outs about how that whole RFU works and the Welsh Rugby Union works. And reports apparently came out and said Rees-Zammit told Gatland an hour before Gatland announced the Wales squad for the Six Nations.
Wow.
So imagine that an hour before you're gonna go, yeah, Rees-Zammit, you're in the seat, you're in the team. He goes, no, sorry, mates, I'm going to go play in the NFL. That's right.
I have a question for you guys. Do you think Rees-Zammit probably has like a verbal agreement with Wales, Welsh Rugby and Gloucester to say, listen, if it doesn't work out, I can always come back? Or do you think they just let him go and then he never comes back? Because let's say you're the owner of Gloucester. Do you take him back even after he just teaches you? Doesn't matter what type of talent he has? Or do you say, listen, fair enough, go try out. If it doesn't work out, you can always just come back?
Yeah, I think that they know that they understand this is a business. I don't think they're going to take it personally. They're not going to look at him and be like, oh, but you stabbed us in the back. If the Oak's good enough, the Oak is cooking in Wales and for Gloucester. So I think it'll be an easy I think they'll welcome him back, especially Wales. I mean, come on, who do they have? Weir. That's the only other paceman. So, no, I think that they understand it's a business and it's not going to be a threat to them at all. They know that within the next Six Nations 2025, Rees-Zammit will be wearing that wing jumper again.
I just think even if, let's say, Gloucester don't want him back because they feel threatened, or not threatened, but they feel stabbed in the back. Let's say they do. There's definitely a team in France or a team in Japan that are going to go, okay, we'll pay you the big bucks, come play for us. And like Brett said, Wales will not go, oh, you will not ever play for us again, because they'll realize how much they miss him. And a lot of people have called him overrated, but the thing is, he's the best they have in that position. So they will welcome him back with open arms.
The thing is, when we spoke about Apiweti Yankee's return, we spoke about the fact that his return puts bums in seats. And I think if it doesn't work out for Rees-Zammit and he comes back, there will be a big story about the golden boy that left but came back, and that will put bums in seats. And I think that's kind of the tipping point where people say, okay, listen, we'll put the money on the table for you again. You can just come back, because they know when it comes to financial means, he will put bums in seats with that return. That return game will be massive for that team that whoever he runs out for. Moving on, because we can't just talk about him. There was more breaking news. We'll keep it short and sweet. We've got the announcement for the first ever British and Irish Lions women's tour playing against the Black Ferns. And I mean, boys, surely we got some wild thoughts on this, because we know the Black Ferns are probably the best in the world. You got the Red Roses also doing pretty well, which is the team from England. But I mean, you can't just put out the Red Roses versus the Black Ferns. There has to be a mixture, and it's a mixture of shit, if you ask me. So I see the Black Ferns absolutely dominating the British and Irish Lions, because it doesn't matter if it's men or women, they never win their tour.
I was going to say that, actually, you took the words out of my mouth. I think it's going to be England versus New Zealand, to be honest. That English pack is on the women's side of things, there's no team, not even the Black Ferns, that come close to that English pack. So it's going to be closer than I hope for, actually. But I'm happy for the women's game. You guys get something.
Yeah, it's nice to see that they brought this into the women's game. Of course, they obviously want to have their moment where they represent the British and Irish Lions, and it's a 3-match series, eh?
Not sure.
Well, if it's a 3-match series, I'm probably gonna go. I'll probably say 2-1. I think the oh. No, the Ferns will take it. The Ferns will take it 2-1. And yeah, I think it will be interesting to see because sometimes it's a little bit interesting to watch women's rugby. 3-0, you said.
3-0 whitewash. British and Irish Lions beat the Black Ferns.
I disagree completely. I think the Black Ferns are way better. Now, the interesting thing is, of course, this happens in 2027. You know what also happens in 2027? The Boks defend their World Cup and win their third World Cup in a row to make history. Now, I'm thinking, if that's in a Rugby World Cup year for the men's game, it can either go two ways, this British and Irish Lions tour. It either gets smothered out by the World Cup hype, or it can boost massively for the women's game being in a World Cup year because people are so excited for it. Which way do we think this is going? Do we think this is brilliant for the women's game and it grows it by a ton? Or do you think it's just another tour and people won't really care about it?
So I've actually never seen. It's the same as this Rees-Zammit thing. Like they don't coincide with each other. So it's not a threat or a gain, in my opinion. I think that you have your women's rugby fans and you have your men's rugby fans, or you have your women's rugby fans and then you have rugby fans. I can't see it being a threat in any way whatsoever. I think that, yes, it's going to boost the women's game, but it won't take away from the women's game that there's a World Cup being played, because it's such a big occasion in it being the first British and Irish Lions tour. So I don't think they don't coincide with each other.
Yeah, it is a very, like Brett said, it's almost like an acquired taste in a sense, because now obviously this isn't a video that we don't want to be attacked because we are not standing up for women's rugby. It's just, it might not be as fast paced, it might not be as physical, and in its own way it can be, but obviously we used to a lot more, and it's a bit more exciting from my perspective. So like you said, you have your women's fans and you have your rugby fans, and if anything, they're very smart for making it in the World Cup year, because there's going to be eyes on that series for sure. I'm sure it's going to break a few of the women's viewing records as well, which is great. But the only thing I'm worried about is, and I'm sure they won't do this, if it's a series that's a flop with terrible rugby skills and stuff like that, which I highly doubt, that could be a bad look on the women's rugby. You never know.
No, I doubt that it will be like that. I think it will be a success for the women's game. And it was a easy decision to make it against the Black Ferns. Of course, they still had the option to play against South Africa or Australia, but we aren't nearly as good in the women's game as the Black Ferns. Like, the Black Ferns get a lot of hype. They get a lot of support from New Zealand. So it's a very easy and straightforward decision for the British and Irish Lions to play against New Zealand. Of course, the Red Roses and New Zealand played in the final of the Women's World Cup, if I'm not mistaken. But that brings us to the end of this video. Nice and short and sweet. As you can see, Brett needs to go cure his hangover and go to bed, have a good night's rest. The guy looks like he's been up for about 50 hours, hasn't slept since the previous pod, since he was so excited about it. Thank you very much, Brevan, for joining us again. Brevan, the sick dog, has come back with a banger. You'll be with us on Friday's episode as well. Thank you very much for your love and support. Remember to subscribe and like the channel. And also join us on Spotify. We appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you very much. See you next time. Sayonara.
Okay, bye.